大家好，欢迎来到我们的深刻美国节目。今天我们将深入探讨纽约的激烈选举赛事，这些赛事不仅关乎州内的代表权，更将影响整个国会的权力平衡。随着选举日的到来，无论是共和党企图保住其在郊区的席位，还是民主党的奋起反击，纽约的竞争氛围越发紧张。从长岛的激烈对决到哈德逊河谷的多场竞争，选民们面临着一场关乎安全、身份和政党未来的决战。共和党候选人如何利用犯罪议题来吸引选民，而民主党又如何反击这一策略，这些都成为焦点。尤其是在一些引人注目的选举中，候选人们的个人故事与政见交织，更是让竞争变得不可预测。随着日落的来临，紧张局势达到高潮，选举结果将揭示纽约的未来走向，也将对全国的政策产生深远影响。这场选举不仅仅是地方政治的缩影，更是全国政治博弈的一部分。请大家继续收看详细内容。
In the early hours of a crisp November morning, the bustling city of Albany, New York, became a crucible of political ambitions and fervor. As dawn broke, its streets were awash with anticipation, the kind that accompanies a pivotal election day. This was not just any election for New Yorkers. It was a day that could reshape the political landscape of the U.S. House of Representatives, a battleground where every vote could tilt the balance of power in Washington, D.C. In the heart of Long Island, the political stakes were personal and intense. Republican U.S. Representative Anthony Desposito and Democrat Laura Gillen, a former town supervisor, found themselves locked in a fierce rematch. Desposito had narrowly edged out Gillen in the 2022 elections, but this time she had an ace up her sleeve, the backing of Vice President Kamala Harris. With Harris's influence potentially swaying the undecided voters, Gillen was poised for a comeback. The campaign trail in this suburban enclave was peppered with debates over crime and safety, issues that cut to the core of suburban concerns. Moving north to central New York, another closely watched race unfolded. Republican Representative Brandon Williams faced Democratic State Senator John Mannion, a formidable opponent in a district that had recently undergone significant changes. Williams' margin of victory had been razor-thin 2 years prior, just 2,600 votes, and the redrawn district lines this year excluded some of the rural areas that had supported him. Here, the air was thick with tension as candidates canvassed relentlessly, each handshake and conversation carrying the weight of potential victory or defeat. The Hudson River Valley, known for its dynamic political character, was another highlight on the electoral map. The area was a tapestry of political allegiances, with 3 incumbents, 2 freshman Republicans and a Democrat, scrambling to hold their seats. New York's political persona was anything but monolithic. This state, which was home to high-profile Democrats like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also celebrated Republican luminaries such as Representative Elise Stefanik, the vibrant chair of the House Republican Conference. The election served as a testament to New York's complex political identity. As the day wore on, each party's strategy became increasingly evident. Republicans leaned into a familiar narrative, painting urban areas as besieged by crime. This tactic, effective in previous election cycles, tapped into a vein of suburban fear, a fear that had been amplified during the height of the pandemic. Though crime rates had significantly declined since then, the GOP continued to wield this narrative adeptly, melding it with concerns over immigration and the surge of international migrants. In stark contrast, Democrats were mounting a vigorous counteroffensive. Their strategy sought to dismantle the GOP's crime narrative, emphasizing their own steadfast commitment to public safety. At the same time, they spotlighted the risks of a right-wing Congress, particularly on issues like abortion rights. The stakes were unequivocally high, with both parties acutely aware that these elections could redefine the congressional balance of power. In one of the most heated contests, Republican U.S. Representative Mike Lawler clashed with former U.S. Representative Mondaire Jones, a Democrat who had previously represented part of the district before its boundaries were redrawn. Jones, notable as one of the first openly gay black men to serve in the House, lambasted Lawler, accusing him of feigning moderation while aligning with extreme MAGA Republicans. Lawler retorted by painting Jones as the true extremist, suggesting that voters craved sensible bipartisanship. The race took an explosive turn when a photo emerged of Lawler in blackface at a college Halloween party in 2006, dressed as Michael Jackson. The revelation injected even more volatility into an already fiery campaign, as both sides exchanged fierce rhetoric and sought to capture the undecided electorate. Further south in the Hudson Valley, Democratic U.S. Representative Pat Ryan was engaged in a tight race with Republican Allison Esposito, a former NYPD officer running on a platform centered on law and order. Esposito, if successful, would become the first openly gay Republican woman to serve in Congress, a milestone that underscored the personal stakes and complex narratives at play in this election. As the sun set, draping the state in a golden hue, anticipation reached a crescendo. In a district stretching from New York's border with Massachusetts across the Catskill Mountains to the Finger Lakes, Republican U.S. Representative Mark Molinaro contended with Democrat Josh Riley in a rematch of their 2022 face-off. Molinaro had recently shifted further to the right, a move underscored by a controversial social media post falsely alleging that Haitian immigrants in Ohio were consuming house pets, a hyperbolic claim that only added to the race's drama. In another notable contest, Democrat George Latimer appeared poised for victory over Republican Dr. Miriam Levitt Flisser in a race devoid of an incumbent. Latimer's prior triumph over U.S. Representative Jamal Bowman in a Democratic primary marked a significant political shift, dethroning the first member of the Progressive Squad to lose a re-election bid. As polling stations closed and the meticulous process of vote counting began, the eyes of the nation and indeed the world turned to New York. The Associated Press, with a legacy of providing accurate election results since 1848, was a trusted source for the unfolding electoral drama. The results would not only steer the future of New York but also send ripples across the nation, shaping the direction of Congress and the policies that would impact millions of lives. Thus, New York's elections emerged as a microcosm of America's broader political landscape, complex, contentious, and brimming with passionate debates. As results trickled in, it was evident that the Empire State would remain a pivotal battleground in the relentless struggle for congressional control. Through its intricate web of races, New York had reaffirmed its role as a powerful influencer in the national political arena.
欢迎大家进入6度探索的辩论环节。我们从正反两个角度对本节目进行辩论，请出我们的辩论高手楚天舒、谢琪琪。
我是楚天舒。
我是谢琪琪。
New York's House races are, indeed, a microcosm of the national political climate, but they epitomize the vibrancy and dynamism that make American democracy robust. The mix of candidates, from the seasoned incumbents to the fresh challengers, showcases the diversity of ideas and backgrounds essential for a healthy democratic process. The focus on suburban issues like crime and safety reflects constituents' immediate concerns and shows that politics is keenly attuned to the people's needs.
Oh, come on, Chu. You act like these elections are a grand Shakespearean drama. It's more like a soap opera where everyone rehashes the same old plotlines, like the relentless focus on crime. Even with crime rates declining, Republicans cling to it like a life raft. Meanwhile, Democrats play the fear card with abortion rights. It's less about addressing real issues and more about who can scare voters the most. It's like watching a bad rerun of Law and Order meets The Handmaid's Tale.
By dismissing these elections as mere reruns, you undermine the genuine stakes involved, not just for New York but the entire nation. The outcome here could determine control of Congress, affecting everything from healthcare to education and environmental policy. It's not just about fearmongering but addressing genuine anxieties in a rapidly changing world. The candidates' diverse backgrounds, from a former NYPD officer to the first openly gay black man in Congress, reflect America's evolving tapestry and its strive towards inclusivity.
Speaking of inclusivity, let's talk about that blackface incident. It's 2023, and we still have candidates with a history of racial insensitivity. Your so-called evolving tapestry is fraying at the edges, with candidates like Lawler proving that old prejudices die hard. And don't get me started on the absurd claims about Haitians eating house pets, which scream desperation more than representation. It's like these candidates are trying to outdo each other in a game of who can be more outrageous?
You're right to highlight the controversies, but let's not overlook the fact that these incidents spark crucial dialogues about accountability and progress. Scandals, while unfortunate, push society to self-reflect and set higher standards for public officials. This is how democracy course corrects. Besides, it's precisely these competitive races that invigorate political participation, ensuring voters' voices are heard and driving home the importance of every single ballot, even if the narratives sometimes skew sensational.
Ah, the old scandals promote growth defense. While I admire your optimism, it's naive to think these conversations are leading to meaningful change. Instead, they often distract from substantive policy discussions. The perpetual cycle of recrimination and sensationalism only deepens political polarization. Instead of addressing complex issues like the climate crisis or economic inequality, we're stuck debating whether someone's Halloween costume from 2006 should disqualify them from office. At this rate, we'll need a reality TV show just to cover the drama.
我是评委合理，我想对两位精彩的辩论做出评论。在楚天舒与谢琪琪的辩论中， 我们看到了两种截然不同的对于美国政治现状的解读。楚天舒强调了纽约选举作为全国政治氛围的缩影，认为多元的候选人背景和社区关注的问题反映了美国民主的活力。他认为政治能够准确反映人民的需求，尤其是在犯罪和安全等直接影响居民生活的议题上。然而，这一观点在谢奇奇的批评中遭遇了挑战。谢奇奇则以尖锐的语气指出，楚天舒的观点充满了对现实的过度美化。他形容这些选举更像是一场肥皂剧，而不是一场真正的政治较量。他提到，虽然犯罪率在下降，但共和党仍然固守对犯罪的恐惧叙述，而民主党则试图利用堕胎权的议题来激起选民的恐惧。这一切看似是一场不断重复的政治剧情。这种观点强调了政治中的戏剧性，并质疑在如此深层的两极化中，真正的问题是否得到了应有的关注。楚天舒在辩论中强调，选举结果将对国会控制权产生深远影响，而谢奇奇则迅速反击，提出了种族敏感事件和政治人物的道德瑕疵，质疑这些候选人是否真正代表了多元和包容的价值观。他警告称，政治丑闻虽然能引发辩论，但在某种程度上却使得选民偏离了对于实质政策的讨论，进一步加剧了政治极化。总结来看，这场辩论揭示了当前美国政治的两个主要矛盾，一方面是对于民主活力和多元性的希冀，另一方面是对于选举中固有的戏剧性和感性操作的怀疑。楚天舒的乐观可能缺乏对现实问题的深刻理解，而谢奇奇的批评则带有一定的悲观主义，似乎暗示出政治领域内的戏剧性与政治实质之间的鸿沟正在拉大。这一辩论不仅让我们看到了选举中的多样性与复杂性，也让我们反思了在这种多样性中，真正的民意与政策讨论是否能够获得应有的重视。
思想先驱报，成为有洞察力的人。华尔街电视特别节目，纽约时间每天早上8点，李奇博士主持，和平评点。谢谢大家收看6度探索。这是一个由科学家、经济学家、媒体人、工程技术人员合作建立的新型媒体，网友与6度 AI 参与合作完成各种内容，这些内容不能作为任何决策或法律的意见。这是一个新型的试验性媒体方式，我们希望得到大家的支持，修正错误。网友可以参与讨论，也可以向万能的6博士提出你能想出的任何问题。6度世界网址是6度 World， 请介绍给你的亲朋好友。